Why do I not think Walz is going to get there in the long run? Let me first say, before I dump on Walz, I actually think that some of his messaging right now is pretty good. Like it speaks to where Democrats are. When he was in South Carolina, he said, we need to, quote, be a little meaner. I do.
Well, it's not totally just about being meaner. It's about going all the way. Aggressive policy criticism of the Republicans, aggressive advocacy for your own policy. But yeah, I mean, throw around a few more insults. That wouldn't hurt, you know. Calling the Republicans weird, that was a pretty tepid insult compared to the insults Republicans hurl at Democrats all the time.
I think that there is a desire among Democratic, especially activists and rank and file, for their side to fight harder, right? To be tougher, to not back down, to not look weak and woke, okay? Walz, when he was in Anaheim, he's got some good quotes. I'll give him that. When he was in Anaheim on Saturday night, he said this: "They don't want to see us standing like a deer in the goddamn headlights, and there's a good reason for that. Nobody votes for roadkill." That's a good line. He also said, "There's an appetite out there across this country to govern with courage and competency, to call crap where it is, not to be afraid to make a mistake about things, but to show people who you truly are and that they don't have to wonder who the Democratic Party is." I actually think that that messaging is right. Because I do think that the broad problem for Democrats right now are people do think they're too weak and too woke. They don't really know what Democrats stand for. They think they stand for like trans girls competing in girls' sports or bathroom bills or, you know, that sort of masking, those sorts of things, not sort of the core economic values that Democrats used to stand for. So I think Walz is right on that. I just don't think he's the right messenger.
So wokeness is not really the problem. It's lack of economic populism. Wokeness does not harm the Democratic Party necessarily. I'm curious what he means by Walz not being the correct messenger. I think he did a fine job of sharing the message. He should have been more present in the campaign trail.
He's never struck me as the guy who really reeks of authenticity, right? Like who can really sell the camo and the hunting, who can really sell the football coach stuff. Like it felt a little over the top when Harris was trying to sell him to the country, that like, come on up here, coach. Like it was so aggressive to try to be like, look, here's a normal guy from the Midwest. He can talk just like you people. My thing.
Doesn't that speak to inauthenticity of Harris, not necessarily Walz? I mean, I sort of get what he's saying, but it just seems like he's hyper-fixating on these little things like football coach, hunting gear, like whatever. It might not seem like it's a perfect fit on him, but whatever, dude. That doesn't mean he's inauthentic.
It's not about that, right? It's not about like, hey, look, he's a white, older guy who likes football and camo. Huh? Vote for him. To me,
nobody brought up race or gender on that campaign trail. Nobody said he's an older white guy, so you need to vote for him. That was not something that was said ever. That's a total straw man.
It's authenticity. And I just didn't get the vibe from Tim Walz during the course of that campaign that he was at core exactly who he was presenting as, right? He clearly took some very liberal positions when he was governor of Minnesota. Republicans in Minnesota do not like him. So this idea that he's like this moderate Midwestern guy never really sold to me. And
a moderate? Tim Walz never purported to be a moderate. He purported to be pretty solidly on the left throughout the whole campaign trail, even as governor, but even on the campaign trail as well. Maybe he moved to the center marginally, but he was still staunchly progressive and he never purported to be moderate at all on the campaign trail. I don't know what he's talking about.
Also, just think two other things. One, I mentioned before, the bright lights went on. He did not seem like he was ready. Now, maybe in 2028, he will be ready, having gone through that gauntlet, but he did not seem like he was ready to me. And the other thing is, I don't know that the party, he's not a fresh face for the party anymore. He was in September 2024, but he's not anymore. Is this what the party wants? The guy who was the losing VP nominee, that they want him to be now the presidential nominee? I'm skeptical. So I guess I would say Walz is clearly positioning to run. Whether he runs or not, he is clearly trying to run. He's been the most active and aggressive of any of the potential 2028 candidates. And some of them, like Pete Buttigieg, Westmore, have been pretty active, but he's been more active than them. On message stuff, I actually think he's right. Democrats need fighters. They need to stand up a little bit more for what they believe and tell people what they believe. I just don't think he's the right messenger. Maybe the right message, but not the right messenger. So count me.
Really? Okay, that's pretty vague. I mean, what? Oh, he's inauthentic, hunting gear, camo, white guy, pretends to be moderate, even though he didn't pretend to be moderate. It's just not really clear what his criticism of Walz is.